So for some reason, in the middle of me watching Megan's the 19th.org interview, my network sort of stopped. And I had to rewatch it. Thank God it was already on YouTube. So I took some notes while I was watching it so I could sort of discuss it. And the first thing that I realized was at the beginning, the way Megan turns her head is exactly the same way when Archie dropped the book when she was doing the reading, and then Archie looks like far from the distance. It just reminds me of that. So that's where Archie got it. All right, so that's that. So another thing I thought about the interview was when there's a part where they were talking about how the organization came about and the things that the people, the workers who dedicate and do the work. And one thing that came to mind was when money get involved, journalism become trash. So usually when workers care about what they're doing and their what is it their bosses treat them fairly and nicely, humanely, most workers will give more of their time, their quality, than what they are being paid for. So I truly believe that. So for her to take off like that within 1 year is because is the quality of presentation, the way she treat her, I guess, co-founders. I don't know how many people co-found the 19th, but they work together to make this work, especially during the pandemic. And she talked about childcare. And when she talked about that, the first thing that came to mind, even though I don't have Finding Freedom book, I thought of Meghan and Harry experience with the night nanny. So that came to mind when that came up. You know, people are busy, they need to work, and you need nannies. And with the COVID, you sort of scared to leave your kids with someone. You don't know if they're carrying the disease or something like that. So that came to mind when she talked about it. But mostly the part where Meghan and Harry had experience with the night nanny. That's the main thing that came to mind.
Based on what we have a shared interest in, and of course, just the goals of the 19th, but also just our commonality as women, right? What we go through as women who are balancing work, raising children, all of those things, I think for me made it really compelling to just have this conversation on a really human level, as well as one on the professional level. So we can just jump right in if that works for you.
All right, so Megan touched based on the suffrage movement, which started in the UK in 1906. That's a good history to know. I'll look it up. Maybe one day I'll make a video about it because I have similar, somewhat videos of history stuff that sort of covers how in Britain how authenticity of journalism came about. It's due to where slavery have been abolished and blacks were starting to take off. I've mentioned this in so many videos. You could go and check my old videos about it, where black people in Britain starting to take off, and the people who were against that, who then want the blacks to be elevated, to become more than what they were, they start creating toxicity of journalism. And that's one of the things that sort of started. So I probably went further back than Megan, but Megan sort of started in 1906. So I could look at in terms how they coincide to what I already know and what Megan sort of mentioned. The 1906, me, it was way after slavery have been abolished. So it's something I need to look up. It interests me. So pretty much most of the videos that I do, if I wasn't interested about them, I will not be doing them. And yeah.
Well, do you know what's so interesting is, and I was actually reading just a couple weeks ago, this fascinating article about the suffrage movement. And what resonated with me about it is specifically the term suffragette. And you'll follow my train of thinking in a moment, because the impetus for the word suffragette started in a UK newspaper in 1906. And it was meant to belittle the women who were part of the suffrage movement. It's like, oh, we'll just add a little et to the end here.
Minimizing, yes.
And what I find so fascinating is that was then, before digital media, before the online space, before things could travel around the world with rapid fire. And the American women, as part of the suffrage movement, didn't want to be called suffragettes. And yet this term, coined by one man in 1906, has stuck as part of a movement. And I think when you look at that and you look at it through that lens of the power of one person's influence in the media to be able to shape an entire movement or way of thinking or even an ideology or an identification, if women have their voice heard as equally, how different that would have been, right? And so even though in that article, the point was not about the term suffragette, what stuck with me is the ability of influence. And if it's only coming from a patriarchal lens, how that's shaping everything that we see. And whether you actually read the article or not, this one or any other one, I think what's so fascinating, at least from my standpoint and my personal experience the past couple of years, is the headline alone, the clickbait alone makes an imprint. That is part of how we start to view the world, how we interact with other people. And I think there's so much toxicity out there.
Her experience with the media. So that came up, and she was like, I don't want to go there. If you want to hear what I'm going to say, it's just going to be another issues that's going to create on top of all the nonsense that's already going on. So I felt that when she's like, no, no, no. But then she's like, all right, but go ahead.
I mean, I'd love to ask you, obviously, you are someone who has been deeply covered by the media in so many ways, many of them.
And I thought, here we go. I'm going to stop you at a certain point because I get to wear the journalist hat today. But yes, please, of course. No, go for it.
All right.
So her way of explaining compassion to journalism. Okay, so it reminds me of Ronan Farrow for some reason, because it was his compassion about the sex scandal of Weinstein that broke all the stories in Hollywood. Because Ronan Farrow's sister had experienced sexual misconduct. Nobody had believed her, his sister, not her, his sister, Ronan's sister. But the things, she will never, change her story or something like that. And now new stories were coming from Hollywood. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but it's through compassion that you have a man who didn't really have to break that story or anything like that. If it wasn't compassion of Ronan Farrow to break that Weinstein sex scandal, that will never happen. So we need people who have compassion in the industry to make it work. If it's just about money, anybody could write anything and make it something. And it's like a moral obligation that they have to put the truth out there.
I just felt enormous rage. These were still conversations that we were having in 2016. And I thought in that moment, what we really need is a new national newsroom by and for women that throws sort of those questions of electability and likability out the window and that really covers women deeply with empathy and with respect. And then I went back to, raising a newborn. Honestly, it just sort of fluttered right out of my brain.
This economy for attention, right? That is what is monetizable right now when you're looking at the digital space and media. And so if you're just trying to grab someone's attention and keep it, you're going for something salacious versus something truthful. And I think that once we can get back to the place, which is what you're creating here, which is why I think it's so important, where people are just telling the truth in their reporting and telling it through a compassionate or empathetic lens, it's going to help bind people as community in a way that I think at the moment we're feeling much more of a disconnect in a space where we could be feeling more of a connection.
But anyway, toxicity of social media. When she said that, the co-founder said you have to, even though with all the toxicity and the social media, to find your way and there you could find some good part of it. And when she was saying that, for some reason I thought of the Sussex Squad. So many instances I thought of the Sussex Squad, but in this instance is the reason I thought of the Sussex Squad is when I started realize and I was starting to pay more attention of what they were saying about Meghan, and it caught my attention. I was like, how could she be that bad? How come they keep on saying those negative stuff? And I went online to see who else was talking about what I was seeing. And that's how I found the Sussex Squad. So when she said the toxicity and social media, but you have to navigate your way to find a good one. So yes, there are some good ones out there, the same way I was able to find the Sussex Squad.
And for me, that means making our journalism entirely free to republish by every other news organization in America. So we have launched with a terrific partnership with Univision. Univision is translating our work into Spanish and distributing it. The USA Today network is distributing our work to more than 260 regional newspaper markets, which is just unbelievable for us to be able to reach that kind of audience from day one. And then across social media, across yes, there's a lot of toxicity there. If you can find your way to the right platforms like ours, our obligation really is to find women on the platforms they're already using, they're already consuming, and make sure we're getting those really critical headlines in front of them.
Okay, kids in high school, I thought of the squads. Okay, and there's a part where Megan said kids in high school. I thought of I thought of the squads also, where she's saying that how the kids are becoming leaders. They're using social platform to for good cause and all of that. And I'm thinking, how the camp fed, all those donations that the Sussex squads were doing for Megan's birthday, Archie's birthday, and all of that. So I thought of the Sussex squad when Megan said that.
I mean, I think what's going to be really interesting to see now, having this kind of media platform for not just women who are our peers, for example, but for young women who are, I'm always so inspired by these women who are in high school, for example, who are just mobilizing to this next chapter of their life, and they're so engaged and so ready to be the leaders of the next generation. And this kind of content, their ability to be able to not have to seek it out or find it, and it will probably really shape so much in how people are able to mobilize, just having those assets at the tip of their fingers.
Absolutely. I mean, that's
I believe the co-founder said the gold standard for change of journalism. And at some point, we do need someone to step up and say enough is enough. Because you have men, mostly men, and I believe she said that too, where they are the one who are somewhat in control of the stuff, and when they see they're losing grasp of their position, that's when they make things in toxic way. You could just look at America right now, and I don't even need to mention any name, but you could see how they meddling or making things all confusing for change not to happen. Yeah, so I thought of that.
The reality is, in this industry, the overwhelming majority of politics and policy reporters and editors are men, and almost all of them are white men. And what that means is that those are the people deciding what's news and what isn't, whose voices are elevated, which experts are quoted, whether those stories play on the front page or the homepage. So it feels for us critical in this moment more than ever.
Trust and journalism. I think that was Megan who said that. To trust and journalism, I thought of Omid Scobie for some reason, because the things that I know, I've got some comment in my comment section in one of my videos, and they're saying that Meghan and Harry did participate in the book and whatever. But if Omid said he didn't, and he talked with about 100 people from the palace, close friend, even from the Cambridges and all of that, but you're still saying Meghan did and Harry did participate in the thing, in the book, well, believe whatever you want. I'm not going to argue with you, because if that's what you believe. So that's that with that.
This economy for attention, right? That is what is monetizable right now when you're looking at the digital space and media. And so if you're just trying to grab someone's attention and keep it, you're going for something salacious versus something truthful. And I think that once we can get back to the place, which is what you're creating here, which is why I think it's so important, where people are just telling the truth in their reporting and telling it through a compassionate or empathetic lens, it's going to help bind people as community in a way that I think at the moment we're feeling much more of a disconnect in a space where we could be feeling more of a connection.
And I believe I said right to vote. And I thought of my video where 2 days ago, I made a video about Meghan, where I say it is her civic duty to vote. So that's her position. She's a American citizen, so that's her right to vote. And I also thought of Lady L. She was projecting. I don't want to mention her again because I did mention her on another video about that, probably the same video about Meghan being her right to vote, and that's her civic duty and all of that.
Where we're getting our information from as well. And I think, you want to have trust in journalism, and you want to have trust in what you're reading and hope that it's fact. I mean, I think we've become so sadly comfortable with the idea that we are just getting all this stuff and it becomes noise as opposed to truth and accurate journalism. So I think, if this can be the catalyst for reset for other news organizations, my goodness, it's going to change the game so much, and specifically that it's bipartisan. I think when I have these conversations about encouraging people to go out and vote, I think it's often challenging for men and women alike, but certainly for people to remember just how hard it was to get the right to vote, and to be really aware of not taking that for granted. I mean, I look at that with my husband, for example. He's never been able to vote. And I think it's such an interesting thing to say the right to vote is not a privilege, it is a right in and of itself. But I really do hope that what you're able to encourage and what we're able to see happen through the 19th over the course of the next few months is that women understand that their voices are needed now more than ever, and the best way to exercise that is through voting.
Absolutely. I mean, we are in a pivotal moment in history. The centennial of the 19th Amendment, which is upon us, extended the right to vote to white women. The asterisk in our logo is a signal of how far we have left to go. It took another 4 decades for women of color to be extended the same rights. In many states in this country, honestly, voter suppression is still a thing, and women are struggling yet to have their voices heard.
What other thing do I have here? The right to vote. Watch my video. So that's my note. Meghan right to vote. It's her civic duty. Okay. Racial recognition. Her right to vote. Loud voice is the negative one you hear. I think I have like a 2 or 3 minute video. For some reason, one day I was standing in my kitchen and something came out of me say, if you are in distress. I don't remember the way it went, but it wasn't spur of the moment. I just pick up my phone and record whatever that was going in my mind, and I put the video out. I'll put the link in the description for you guys to hear it. But these kind of things are things that I think about, things that I feel comfortable talking about. Yeah, people who with the negative voice have the loudest mic, something like that. I think that's the way I put it.
And I think for so many of us, it's very easy to focus on the negativity. It's very easy to focus on that because it's what you hear out there, right? As I think I said to the high school girls when I was speaking to them, the loudest voices are often the negative ones, sadly.
Okay, so Meghan, she said she wants to use her voice. She's happy to be home. So when I thought of that, I was like, okay, goodbye UK. She's not going back. No 1-year review. So that's the thing that came to mind when she said that.
I mean, I'm curious what it has been like for you coming back to the United States, in this moment, as a biracial woman in this moment of all these conversations around race and justice. What has that felt like for you, if I can turn the tables for a minute?
Of course. From my standpoint, it's not new to see this undercurrent of racism and certainly unconscious bias. But I think to see the changes that are being made right now is really, it's something that I look forward to being a part of. And being a part of using my voice in a way that I haven't been able to of late. So, yeah, it's good to be home.
We're all ready for it, too.
It's good to be home.
And what else did I put here? How to support the 19th. Okay, when Meghan sort of asked that, I thought of the Sussex Squad. I think it was a shout out to the Sussex Squad because Meghan knows the Sussex Squads were watching. And if they hear she's talking about those kind of things, they're going to support. So I think that was a shout out to the Sussex Squad she did here. She was like, go donate to them. They need your help. They need funding. So go donate. That's what I thought about it when she said that, how to support the 19th.
I think, look, as we're sort of wrapping things up, and I know there's so much that you're going to continue to do with this platform, what is the role that we as supporters can play in this to keep the 19th true to its mission, to be able to play our part in this storytelling, for all of the people who are watching this going, I want to be engaged in some way. How do we best support you?
And they both went to Northwestern, so she was very happy to hear that.
It's amazing. I mean, and if I wasn't already just so excited about everything that you're doing, I would be sad to not mention that we both also went to Northwestern. So I feel especially proud, again, supporting an alma mater, but just.
And one part she said, thank her parents for what they did for the co-founder. I believe in one of the videos I did, who did I think? Was it talking about Meghan? It must have been about Meghan, where I said that we have to thank her parents. Yeah, it has to be Meghan because most of my videos about her. I even forgot what I said, but I know in one of my videos, I said we have to thank Doria for the woman that Meghan has become and the school that had taught Meghan about a lot of things. I don't remember how it went, and I don't even remember which video, but I remember saying something similar to that. And there's the other women that I saw earlier. I'm gonna watch it again because my internet was giving some problem, and I was starting to get some good ideas about them, so I need to go watch them again. Not the Sussex one, because I finished watching it and I already have my note, but the other ones that came prior to her, and they had some good things, and I felt like I was hearing myself talking, because a lot of them were some of the things they say, I said something similar in that nature in some of my videos. And I was thinking to myself, oh geez, I don't even have a PhD. I felt like I earned a PhD from hearing those women because I've said something similar to all of that. I do have a college degree, but not a PhD. I didn't go that high. But anyway, so I'm going to edit this so I could put it out tonight. And there's a video I did this morning. I need to cut some part. It was too long. It's like 30 minutes. So I need to cut some part out. And again, my internet was giving problems, so I couldn't even put it out. And yeah, so that's it. Thanks for watching. Please take a moment to subscribe, like, and share your thought with me. Tell me what you think. Thanks.